Hey guys, and welcome back to Divine Journey 2. Last episode we addressed quite a lot of bottlenecks in our production. I did make one small adjustment to these compressors between episodes. Instead of pulling into the impulse hopper, we're now using limited item fillers, just so that we don't buffer as much in these machines. Last time we also added one too few multi-blocks for lightning craft. However, these buffers on the outputs seem to be filling up quite nicely. To keep the inputs for the multi-blocks full, we also expanded our blood altar automations, and added 2 more tier 5 blood magic blood altars, where it hasn't been too much time between episodes, but we are slowly building up on slates here, which again we'll need plenty of for today. So we finished off last episode by building up our first Liquicraft rocket. Hopefully we get to launch it today. So yeah, having a look at our quest book here, we have a few different options of paths we could go down. Ultimately I think we need to get down to this quest here before we can leave this planet. But I would like to start off with this multi-block. And the reason for that is, well, we need the outputs of this thing. And second of all, it actually gives us 64 of this heavy duty plating, which is mega expensive. So that's going to be nice to be able to complete the rest of these. So yeah, this multi-block is the Liquicrafter. Looks something like this, which is awesome actually. Very unique looking multi-block here. But first I guess we have to tackle crafting this thing. And it might look like a simple craft here. However, these are reinforced machine casings, which obviously take the regular machine casing, and also heavy duty plates. And it's 4 for every machine casing. A full stack? Oh man. A full stack of machine casings. This quest reward might not even be net positive for us. We may end up spending more than this just on this multi-block alone. Let's start with the blueprint though. This is just a fluid crafter, one of these cores from Lightning Craft, and some plating to begin with. We can also grab our machine controller. These are relatively cheap. Alright, 63 reinforced machine casings. Let's see what the damage is. 700 compressed plating. Okay, well, we'll for sure have to order up some more ludicrate for this. Oh, and we're out of plutonium. Okay, let's come back to that. Let's put in all the rest of the recipes and see what else we're missing. Although I have a feeling these also take... Yeah, these are also going to take some more plates. Oh, and of course it throws in some Thaumcraft glass at the bottom as well. Just for good measure. Yeah, our issue here is still the cyanide production, so let's order up another 32 of these fuel rods. And take the burn rate from 5 millibuckets per tick. Let's see what we get up to here. Okay, we did hit 6 at least. Okay, an extra millibucket per tick. You know what, actually, 6 isn't quite enough. Let's get another 32 of these fuel rods. So yeah, that took us up to about 1 cyanide every 4 or 5 seconds maybe. I don't know, it's hard to tell from this, but we're basically just waiting on this alloy smelter now. Well, in the meantime, we can also look at getting our spacesuit. First thing we'll need is an oxygen mask, and an oxygen concentrator. And we'll also need a parachute in case of emergency. Which does require us to complete the craft on the Thaumcraft workbench. This is a very expensive parachute. But you can't pay too much for safety, right? Alright, there's our parachute. The last piece we're missing for this quest is the oxygen gear, which is actually going to take a stellar chestplate. And back when we upgraded the armor, we did actually craft the stellar chestplate. We just don't use it because we have the jet plate on. Let's make sure we take out the upgrade though before we craft with this thing. Alright, that's more like it. So I added more fuel rods yet again, and also took a reactor from 11 tall to 18 blocks high. Which gives us a total burn rate of 39 millibuckets per tick. We're just shy of 40. It gives us a piece of cyanide every 2 seconds, it looks like. It's close enough. More or less every 2 seconds we get cyanide, which is awesome. This is way better than what we had before. I think we're just out of thaumium to expand this anymore. Otherwise, I would probably go up another, I don't know, 10 blocks maybe. It's just still a bit costly for us to upgrade this. And now we're cooking in plutonium. Nice. Alright, so we've just kicked off the last craft for these reinforced machine casings. There's 22 left to craft. Still might take a little bit of time, but just to get to this point, I've got all the other hatches and things. I think there was 3 hours of playtime between the last clip. In that time, I also added in some more seeds, including cobalt and ardite, energetic alloy and vibrant alloy, and I think signalum is a new addition here as well. The cobalt is actually used for Mirian, which we use for all of the base machine casings. Yeah, it's used in modularium, which is used to make all of these input hatches we have. I also mentioned earlier that we had run out of thaumium. That is still the case, but the reason for that is because we're out of examinus. And examinus comes from this Essentia smeltery, which deals with skeleton skulls, which we had actually run out of. So to help with that, we've added another powered spawner down there for skeletons, and I also put on Beheading 10 on the mob masher there. I also found that we were low on Restonia, and that was because we were low on signalum gears. So I had to upgrade this compactor to handle our signalum gear production, and I also added the seed for this. Although after looking at this some more, it looks like we're out of bricks. I think we'll have to address this somehow. I'm pretty sure we have bricks on passive, but I'll look into that in a second. On the plus side though, we do have a full drawer of plutonium, and also a lot of cyanite now. 25,000 cyanite. So yeah, our plutonium issue is no problem at the moment. But yeah, as for this Liquicrafter, we're just waiting on these reinforced machine casings. And then we have to think about where we want to place this multi-block. We could keep expanding this way, which I think we may end up doing. Although we have to remember that there is going to be more compressor setups. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'll have to think about it for a bit. One more thing I did add here is actually processing for aquamarine, which is also used in the galactic ingots. And this uses the same setup we have for amber. So this block placer is filtered for all of the aquamarine we're getting and also the amber bearing stone. And then I've put in the Fortune 6 pickaxe in here, which then is all stored in this drawer in the corner. And it's actually built up quite a lot overnight here. Already nearly 30,000. And the way we're getting the aquamarine sands is I've actually repurposed the builder we had in the Aether dimension. And this is just a Silk Touch builder exclusively filtered for aquamarine. I didn't really want to be destroying up this mountain next to our base. And there's no real reason to pick up dirt or anything at this point anyway. But look what just showed up in our ME system. The very last reinforced machine casings. Man, that took hours to craft that thing. Alright, let's pick up these quest rewards, the 64 heavy duty plates, and see exactly what we have to do with this thing. Okay, I think here is actually going to be a decent spot for this. This has kind of morphed into a little bit of an interesting section of the base. Let's see, it looks like it's 4 blocks in width, 13 blocks wide. Yeah, I think it's just barely going to fit here. Okay, so I'm assuming these are item input and output, and these two are fluid input and output. Yeah, and then energy on the back, and the machine vents in the middle. Is this right? We don't have a multi-block structure yet. I think we're missing these 2 pieces of glass. Well, still missing structure. Oh, these multi-blocks machines. Unfortunately, we don't get the preview because the preview can't be rotated, I think, in this version. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, I want it on this axis, not facing this way. Oh, hang on. Is that a liquid starlight in there? Okay, now do you form? Hey, we have the Liquicrafter. Nice. I wasn't expecting this to be blue, but it looks pretty cool nonetheless. Alright, so yeah, we have to make oil with this thing. And looking at the recipe for oil, for some reason there's 2 versions of oil in this pack. But I think the quest mentioned that they're both the same. They're considered the same. So to make oil, we need tree oil, empowered oil, and a basic wafer. Okay, so the empowered oil we actually have here. Yeah, we have empowered oil being buffered in this fluid transposer. The tree oil though, I think we can get from over here. Or is this tree resin? Yeah, this is resin. Is there oil here maybe? Ah, tree oil. And then the basic wafer we have right here from the circuit fabricator. Okay, so I'm not actually sure how much of this oil we need. There is a few different recipes inside this Liquicrafter. And yeah, just look at some of these things. It's kinda crazy, but it may end up necessary to hook up applied energistics to this, but I think for now let's just test it with 1 bucket manually. So I'm assuming we need each bucket in the fluid inputs, item input in the input hatch. Are we running? We are running, nice. It would be really cool if we had the fluid show up in this fortified glass though. Yeah, the first one contains our oil. Is that our quest? Alright, so next steps I think is going to be to refine it in this refinery. And I haven't looked at this recipe yet, so let's see what this is like. Well, actually it's not too bad. Some sludge refineries, superheating elements, pressure dispersers, more plating which we got from the quest reward, quantum discs and a galactic machine frame. Oh, and I also realised that we have one too many item input and outputs here. Oh, that was a bit of a waste, but I'm sure we'll use them down the line. But there is the refinery. Okay, I think this is just a single block machine, with what looks like just an input and output tank. We have to give this some energy. Alright, well, we can do that, I think. Yeah, we're giving this thing power. And we can put all the rest of our Galacticraft machines along here. And then I did also find a space for the NASA workbench to build our rockets on. Let's also try hooking up some input and output tanks to this as well. So I'm assuming it's left to right. Can we just do something like this, maybe? And it is kind of slow, actually, but we're getting our fuel out the right-hand side. Nice. So I have actually no idea how much of this fuel we need. Like, is it going to be hundreds of buckets, or is it just one bucket per launch? The quest does recommend that we fill a fuel canister. Either way, we're going to have to craft up another batch of oil. Let's get that refining as well. Pick up a bucket for the quest. And we just have to wait to fill the empty canister. Alright, so while that's refining, let's look at the next stages, which I think is to get some oxygen for us. Which of course means 2 more huge elite crafts here. Okay, so Oxygen Collector and Oxygen Compressor, which also takes the compressor we made last episode as well. 1 more compressor. Oh, we need some more oxygen concentrators for this too. We should have all the heavy plating though, and then some more copper canisters. Ah, yeah, we're out of Everfull urns. Oh, that's right. And just a quick recap on how we make these Everfull urns. We have to use the unending bowls from roots, and these things take fake crafting. You know what though, instead of dealing with all that roots crafting, we can come back to Appalachia here. And if I remember correctly, inside these dungeons, apart from all these spellbinders, inside here we should find unending bowls. Maybe it was upstairs? Is it in here? Ah, there we go. Yeah, they're on the table right here. Nice. Oh, and more advanced crafting tables. Yeah, let's take these. Okay, I'm going to find a few more of these structures while we're here, because I have a feeling we'll need a few more of those canisters to complete out Galacticraft. Man, these spellbinders. Please. Okay, we got 15 more unending bowls. That should be enough for us. To make 1 more compressor, and we turn that into the oxygen compressor. Yeah, we're missing 4 more oxygen concentrators and some solar arrays. Wow. Wait, how is this so expensive for concentrators here? Oh, it has to make wafers? Okay. Well, in the meantime, the rest of our fuel is finished refining. Wait, we still need the fuel bucket? Don't we have that? Oh, I guess this is the wrong version of the fuel bucket. There we go. So I guess our next quest here is actually gated by these satellites, which we briefly looked at last episode. I wonder if we're any closer to being able to order one of these. Can we at least get 24 of these things now? What are we missing here? Some aqua balls, that's just a buffer issue. But it looks like we can get at least 1 satellite. Yeah, let's also take out the storage downgrade on these aqua balls. These things really don't cost us that much anyway, so it's worth it at this point. But in that time, our oxygen concentrators have finished crafting. Nice, let's definitely claim our rewards in this chapter. More basic wafers, more basic wafers. Okay, let's see what this left-hand quest is. We need to get some heavy-duty oxygen tanks. Also, here's something we haven't had to do in a while. Those oxygen tanks actually took up the last interface slot that we had. Oh hey, at least our drives are doing not too bad. In fact, the last time I came down here a few weeks ago actually, all of these drives were red. Which you might think is a bad thing, it's just that a lot of the stuff has been moved into storage drawers and is no longer actually stored on the drives. Alright, our first oxygen tank is just finished crafting. I just now realised though that we actually need 2 of those things. I did request a second one. Okay, so first of all we have to actually collect some oxygen. So we use the oxygen collector. And I think we have to have some leaves next to this. Or apparently not. Somehow we're getting oxygen in this thing. The quest does say though it needs to be next to leaves. Well, in any case, we have to put that into a compressor, which has our oxygen. We also need to power this thing. I'm assuming is on this side as well. Yeah. Man, all of these sided machines. Alright, we have conduit at least. And we're filling with oxygen. Nice. Yeah, and our second tank is almost finished crafting here. While we wait on those things though, we can also craft up our fuel loader. And our next quest is to get our satellite rocket launch pad. We need 25 of these things total. So I put in the recipes for these. 575 galactic ingots though. Okay, first oxygen tank though is filled up. Let's start up the second one. So now we're crafting up our rocket pad. The satellites are also crafting. I've been ordering those throughout the episode, these solar panels. We will also need a frequency module. Oh, and you know what? Something else that I was kind of concerned about actually is our starlight production. As for each galactic ingot, we need a resonating gem. But our containment chalice here seems to be doing some nice work. And I did load up our starlight production up there with some more rock crystals. Oh yeah, our buffers are basically full here. We have almost 1 million buckets of starlight. Oh man, I can't wait to get the ultimate compressor. I've been waiting on these things for like 30 minutes. Oh, come on, little plates, come on. Alright, frequency module, nice. Which we have to use here to create our communications dish. I'm not entirely sure how this thing is going to be used, but I guess we're going to find out how all of this slots together pretty soon here. Oh, and the quest got me again. So these communications dishes only asks for 1 for the quest, but our next quest here has 2 in the recipe. So we need 2 more of these things. Oh, and also, just while I was passing this machine wall, I don't think any of you guys noticed, so I was quite lucky in that regard, but last episode we changed this refined Corallium alloy smelter. This used to smelt as pink slime, and I thought we were getting the pink slime ingots from seeds, but we're actually only getting the regular pink slime balls from the seeds. So I did actually add in this other alloy smelter to handle the ingots again. Alright, at least we got the first 24 full solar panels finished off here, which means we can come into our satellite builder. We need our solar panels and the satellite modules. I think this is the first of 3. There it is, our first basic satellite. Definitely grab our quest reward. And this opens up our satellite controller. We also need a keycard as well. But yeah, by far the hardest part of this is the controller itself. So we need another satellite, some ME controllers, and some more heavy duty plating. So one of the other huge bottlenecks actually I would like to address here is these runic platings. And we have to blood infuse these into clean runic plates, which then go through the alchemy table for the purified tablets. And then these go through several other processes until we eventually reach, where is this thing? The rainbow tablet. And this is what's used for all the circuits in the circuit fabricator. So after we get a little bit more syncinacite, actually it's quite a bit more, we're about 200 of this short. We're going to request up 3 more of these blood infusers, and 2 of these we're going to use to speed up on-demand crafting of blood infusion. So yeah, these bottom 3 here are going to be used for our on-demand crafting with the blood infuser. And the 4th one here is going to be for blood infused leather. So blood infused leather is the, I think, 3rd tier of leather recipe. It's made after industrial leather, which we have on passive actually. And we could actually make it in our blood magic blood altar, but I would rather save that to make the slates that we need. And instead I think we'll just passive it in this blood infuser. So this we can just ask for the industrial leather from this interface and filter it into the top of this blood infuser. Then these machines are sided, so we have to extract from the bottom. And the item conduit is going to go into this drawer, where we can place a storage bus on the back, and we will actually downgrade this. The blood infused leather is going to be used for, well, first of all, magical leather to take it up to the next tier, and then it's also used in star leather. But we also use it for a couple of our reagents here. And as for these on-demand blood infusers, we have patterns inside the interface, which will put the items into the chest, and those will round robin between the 3 top inserts of these infusers. However, right now, only one of these things has the promise of tenacity and productivity, so ideally we want to fill them all out actually. At this point though, this really shouldn't be that bad. This was a lot of blood investment in the first time we done this, but I think the second time around it shouldn't be too bad. It may just tie up this blood infuser first of all, until we get the rest of them upgraded, but I think it'll be a worthwhile investment in the long run. Yeah, this really will tie up this blood infuser for quite a while. Man, each of these things take like a minute each. The strength 1 isn't too bad, but once it gets to strength 3 and 4, yeah, it's like hundreds of thousands of blood. Alright, so at this point, it's basically just a waiting game for all of these satellite materials. We're currently up to 30 full solar panels and 1 satellite crafted, but I did end up cancelling the craft for this launch control pad. And these launch control pads will take, yeah, about the same amount of time. There's another few tablets to craft, which is the biggest bottleneck in this by far. Man, we've crafted so many of these rainbow tablets. So yeah, I guess we'll be back when we're ready to launch some satellites. Alright, so after a very relaxing afternoon to myself, I was just doing a bit of building around the base, trying to clean things up a little bit. Our last 8 solar panels have just shown up, which means we can craft up 2 more satellites. And the rest of the items should all be sitting in this elite crafting table down here. Yeah, nice. Alright, we got our satellite controller. Nice, just the launch pads left to craft, which we can actually request here. We already have, I think, half crafted by now. But yeah, that's basically what the game is. I hope at least when we get past this little roadblock here that things become a little bit more interesting. I know we've been doing a lot of crafting to get through this chapter. Yesterday's episode alone took 12.5 hours to make, and that got cut down to, I think it was like 26 minutes, something like that. So yeah, things are getting insane. And I have a feeling actually that chapter 25, which is Draconic Evolution, that's notoriously expensive, so there may end up not being daily uploads just because things get like very, very grindy. We'll see though. I'm still really, really enjoying this pack, even though it is more difficult to create content for it. I'm just doing this for fun anyway, so yeah, we're almost there with this craft, almost there. Alright, 25 satellite rocket launch pads, which lets us access the next quest, which is to make a telescope. This is how we're going to determine the exact location of the moon, so that we can actually travel there ourselves. But to craft this thing, we do actually require the Astral Sorcery Observatory. But you know what, instead of crafting another one, we're just going to borrow this one we have here. I mean, we've discovered every single constellation, so I don't foresee any other use for this thing, other than for looks on that little pad over there. So we'll use this one for now and craft up our telescope. Alright, so our next quest here is actually to launch to the moon. But as I mentioned before, we do have to discover this first. So let's first of all launch our satellite into space. So we'll obviously need a launch site for this. So I've flattened out a little area here for us. It looks a little bit silly right now, but we can clean it up in a bit. Okay, it did form the multi-block. We have to place down our satellite rocket on the launch pad. That is a... oh man, that is a big rocket. Look at that thing. Man, that looks awesome. Okay, we need our fuel loader, and then we'll have to give this thing some power. We can use our trusty power cell for this. Alright, so now we have to give this thing some fuel. And this is where I'm curious how much fuel we actually need. Can we put the bucket inside? We can. It is fueling up nice. 40%. And this was just with one bucket. So yeah, that's actually a lot more than I was expecting. One bucket of fuel takes the rocket up to full. That's a good deal. Very good deal. Okay, so before we actually launch this thing though, we want to be able to communicate with this while it's in orbit, which is what our controller is for. So to use our satellite controller, we have to give this thing some power. So I hooked it up to the same power source back there. Then we have a spare communications dish, which I think we have to... Oh wow, that's another huge block. It does look quite cool though. And then link this key card. And then I think this has to go inside the controller. Yeah, so now I think we're ready to launch our satellite rocket here. So we have to put our satellite inside. Let's do a quick backup just for safety. You never know with these things. Alright, no more waiting around. Let's do this. Let's launch this thing. Oh yeah, look at it go. And I did remember to put the... Yeah, I did. I did put the satellite back in. Okay, we get a little message here. The satellite's been launched to space. Okay, we have progress in the satellite controller at least. This is very slow though. Yeah, we're going to have to be waiting a while. Yep, so I think once this reaches 100%, the quest mentioned that it would spit out a research paper, which I'm assuming will come out of this slot, and then we have to use the telescope to discover the moon. So yeah, more waiting to do. But in the meantime, we could actually look into crafting our tier 1 rocket, and this is how we're going to get ourselves into space. So the tier 1 rocket is actually fairly cheap, all things considered. It's actually cheaper than the satellite rocket we built. So I've already requested these 9 launch pads that we need. We will need another tier 1 rocket engine. Can we get this yet? Another Everflorn. And we're down to 3 bowls left. So I'm really glad I picked up some extra today. Oh no, it looks like all day today our thaumium still hasn't caught up. This must be making a lot of cold iron for all those galactic ingots. Yeah, we're just bottlenecked by this thaumatorium speed. Okay, 1 tier rocket engine. Let's kick that off. I think we need 4 fins. Yeah, 4 rocket fins. And 1 nose cone along with 8 heavy duty plates to make our first tier 1 rocket. Does this one look as silly? Not nearly as silly. And while our rocket was crafting, our satellite controller is actually finished and given us our research paper, which we have to use in our telescope. I think we have to give this power with an energy tablet. I don't know if there's any other way to input power into this thing, but I guess the tablet works. Put in our research paper. Oh, luckily this is faster. Okay. Nice, we've discovered the moon. I don't know how that discovers the moon, but apparently we know how to fly to the moon now. So I guess we use our tier 1 rocket. We'll need our fuel loader. Craft up a few more buckets of fuel. Load up our rocket. Oh, I didn't mean to get into this thing. How do I get out? Okay. Alright, are we fueling? Okay, the fuel disappeared. I think we're fueled up here. So now there's a few more things we have to gather before we can go. Mainly some more fuel, and of course our oxygen and things. But that's something we're going to save for next episode, so that's going to do us for today. It was a lot of crafting. Hopefully the moon is going to be a very interesting start to tomorrow's episode. Looks like we get access to our cheese down here as well. So yeah, I think there's also some dungeons to check out, which will be fun. But yeah, that is going to do us for today. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow for some more Divine Journey 2.